Hi everyone, today I'm going to make this delicious French onion tart. It has a super flaky and crunchy crust and a ton of caramelized onions to make this tart great to have any time of the day. Now let's get started. First we need to make our crust. I freeze my butter and then use a cheese grater to grate it into the flour. You want to keep your hands away from this as much as possible so the butter doesn't soften. This is going to be the key to help giving you a nice flaky crust. You want to mix this until there's no more big pieces of butter. Then add all the water and mix it until it starts to come together. We still don't want to use our hands because the heat from our hands will melt the butter, so I use a bench scraper to break up any large clumps, then just keep folding it on top of itself. We also don't want to knead this dough. What we want to have is layers of butter and flour, essentially like a puff pastry, so when it bakes it will give us a nice flaky, crunchy crust. Once your dough looks like this, wrap it in plastic wrap and put it in the fridge for 30 minutes before we roll it out. You want to flour the cutting board and then the top of the dough, and then we need to roll it out between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch thick. You can see that the dough is still really flaky. This is what we want. As we roll it out, it'll all come together. Sprinkle the top with some flour to make sure that it won't stick to our rolling pin, then just roll it up. And then roll it onto our tart pan. Now just start pressing the dough into the pan. If there's big pieces hanging off the side, just trim it off. Also, if there's any holes or tears, just take a piece that we trimmed off and press it into that spot. When we have everything pressed into the pan, trim off the excess. We want to make sure that the tart shell doesn't puff up, so we need to poke the dough a few times with a fork and then fill the tart shell with dry beans or pie weights. Then bake it at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 minutes. Now for the filling, we need a lot of onions for this tart, so I'm julienning half yellow and half red onions. Chop the rosemary and the garlic, and dice the bacon. We want to cook the bacon until it's really crispy and save all the fat in the pan. Keep the bacon for later because we're going to sprinkle that on top. Caramelize the garlic in the bacon fat, and then we're going to add all of our onions. I cook the onions for 5 or 10 minutes before I season them with salt. We don't need to rush this. We want to take our time to make sure we get all the sugars out of the onions and caramelize it. So it should take about 20-25 minutes to fully caramelize our onions. When the onions are caramelized, double check your seasoning and add salt and pepper to taste. As always, I'll leave a full recipe for you in the info box below. You'll know your tart shell is ready when you start to see the edges turn golden brown. I take the beans out when I take the tart shell from the oven. This is going to let any moisture escape and keep the tart shell nice and dry. Now to finish the filling, we need to whisk 1 egg and add in our heavy cream and mix that together. Add all of our caramelized onions and mix it together, and then adjust the seasoning if necessary. Add our caramelized onion, egg, and cream mix to the tart shell and smooth everything out. Then bake it at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 25 minutes. Now we can just top our tart shell with some cheese. I'm using feta because I like the saltiness. Add our crispy bacon and some parsley. And here's our finished French onion tart. It has a flaky, crunchy crust, warm caramelized onions, and the feta and crispy bacon just make this the perfect bite. Thanks for watching my video on how to make a French onion tart. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Leave me a comment and let me know what your favorite savory tart is. See you next time.